Good evening. Welcome to December 4th Park and Recreation's meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Are you in attendance? This is back here behind us. Oh, there's one. Oh, good. There's one there. Sorry. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So, I'm Chairman Chad LeClaire. To my right, Mike Mattin. To my left, Chris Anderson. Hiding up there is Brian Noble. How you doing? So, I'm going to start with just going over, we haven't met in a while. I know we're in contact, but the year in review, basically. Actually, I'm going to grab my phone because I got a text from Mike before he was going to try to make it, but he could not. I think you guys saw it, right? So we need to get new clay delivered. Other than that, we used a lot of clay this year. We filled a lot of spots. There's still some water. So we're going to try to get that. I have, hopefully with the league and Elf's Landscape and some sort of plan, there's a type of chemical thing that they put in. They blend it in every year with the clay, and it helps it to absorb and so forth. You can't do it all at once, so every year he's doing more. It's something that they're working on, trying to split costs with the league as well, so that, because they're using the fields, and obviously they're the ones who are more important to, it's more important to them to get the games in for that field, but we're doing it to both fields too, so it's important to us for the leagues and stuff that use the champions. Wood chips, we'll bring that up a little bit later as far as playground stuff, but we had some delivered. We had some complaints because some of it was pretty big and sharp, which it's supposed to be kid friendly. We get it from the company, and it got delivered, spread out. They have rubberized wood chips. It costs a fortune, so he needs some more. We'll probably try to get some more in the spring, and depends on what we do with the playground part of it. I have the statement here. We're starting to use his business name is Chris Small Engines from on Rogerson Avenue. So he fixed our Gravely, worked on one of the other. We got a new John Deere that was donated from the Veterans Memorial because we need to cut that grass, and it helped out and so forth. So we got a good one for that, and then we donated, or basically gave the Husqvarna to Jim Merritt, and they're using it around here and stuff. We had it repaired and got the cost, and Chris took care of it, and then they took care of the cost out of their budget because they're taking it over. So we didn't pay for the repairs, but now he's taking care of our two Gravely's. He just fixed one, and he just took the second one, and then we don't have Faven Hardware anymore to do it, and that's why we used to send it every year. So, but it's convenient. He brings it back and forth. He's only 2 blocks away, so far no problems, and he's doing other things around town now too. But that's basically. Mike said he doesn't need any other equipment really to get repaired at this point. Anything else that needs to be repaired, I think he can take care of himself basically. I think the season was a success. Didn't have any real issues. I guess the biggest thing is changing codes and updating the security and stuff like that we have around there. But I already worked with Jim on the summer on the building. He's supposed to start in the spring as soon as they're done. The Veteran Memorial obviously is I think it's done. I mean, I know he's putting the name tags on the bricks as those come in, but they've already had their Veterans Day ceremony, which was great and so forth. We closed Champions Field a little early this year so that Elves could come in, do the sod in some different areas that they normally last year waited really late to do because we had games. But we had a ton of rain, so a lot of cancellations happened anyway, and then Mike's done some touch-ups and paint and stuff on Champions. And like I said, we have the new mower. So the only thing that was an issue was Summer Rec. She cut short a couple things, and then I used a little bit of our budget to cover something else that she wanted to do because they were running short on funds. She's got a lot of kids and she doesn't make them work. She lets them only work a certain amount of days to stay within her budget, but in costs have gone up. She even switched inflatable companies because they have they do the water park at the end of the last 2 days, and the cost went up where they were normally going every year. So she switched and saved a little bit of money, but it was still higher than normal. So I told her this year when we go out for budget, we'll look to add an increase. I mean, she's got if you ever see the payroll, a ton of kids that she has work on and off. So it's good experience for those kids at that age and stuff like that. And there's tons of kids there every day. So if we have the budget for it to add a little bit more for her, we don't really need anything, I don't think. But for her, it would be good to have. So, but that's it as far as the last 12 months, I guess, basically. Any questions, concerns, thoughts of the last year?
I think it went well this year with Mike and the ones we had helping out. I think that worked out much better this year. We got him on there earlier, and
yeah,
I think that definitely helped.
Jack, I mean, it's good with Jack. He's now, he's my concern for next year because I wanted him to work side by side with Mike, and this way he had a full-time person, but with military, he's and going in the reserves, he's on and off some weeks, some weekends, and then he's got another full-time job, which I'm happy for him, but he still likes to do this, so he's still part-time and in and out. But I asked Mike about what his thoughts are for next year. He said he's got his 2 grandkids, Jack and Christian, and as long as they all come back, one of his grandkids is going to be new. The other has been working for us for 2 years, and it's fine. He brings them to work and everything else, so it's fine with me. I haven't, if we lose somebody, we reach out. Christian's fairly new, but he works a ton when he can, and like I said with Jack. So as long as Mike's okay with it and you guys are good with it, I'm fine with his crew.
I'm happy with what they're doing there. So.
All right. So I printed out the budget. I haven't really printed one of these. I kind of shrunk it down, so I'm sorry it's kind of small, but it would have taken up a ton of paper. I did last year's, just so you guys, if you want to take it home, something to compare it to. The first 4 pages are just kind of what our spending was. On the left column, you'll see the description of what I'm paying. And then this year I did add an invoice because once in a while I run into a problem with whether or not it's been paid or not. So I've been writing down a description of the code invoice on the new ones. So every month when I get the monthly report in, I can cross-reference it and say, all right, yeah, that's for, those have been paid for. And if I get a bill that says you haven't paid that bill yet, I can go back and say, oh yeah, I did. They just haven't turned it in. So that's where we're at this year in reference to it. I think this. Did I pay the service and maintenance yet? No, I don't think I did. There's, there'll be a couple add-ons because I do have the service and maintenance in the parks and stuff like that, parts for the mowers and stuff. There was a couple things wrong with the other one and whatever, so that's the first bill for that, and he's going to take a look at the other one. So I figured out what the revolving account has in it, which is money coming in from renting the fields and stuff. Tonight I should be getting a check from the Little League for another $891 for the use in the fall. They use, because they stop playing and the lights go on earlier, they pay for the lights in the fall. So another $891 for that I'll be getting tonight at the meeting that they have. Our park gift account had $1,300. 200 is going towards the sponsorship for the basketball team. And I have to double check, waiting, Julie is away on maternity leave. When she comes back, there's been some discussion whether or not we're supposed to do that or not. I know Brian said we could, she said we probably shouldn't or we can't. So it's kind of up in the air as far as that. I'll talk to them and see what we can do. As long as there's money in the gift account, we want to do it. I think we will be able to, but once that's gone, I don't know how else we'd be able to do it. So, but that'll be next year. We've already paid it. I've already submitted it and got approval for this year. And I don't think I got a bill from the league from last year. I don't recall paying it because I would have had to ask the same question last year. So, any questions or a motion to approve the budget?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, well, we have no guests, so we'll just move on to new business. So, one thing we have to tidy up, at the town meeting last year, it was approved that as board members, if we need to work in the park, not the normal, duties like this and paying the bills, but as far as if a field needs to get ready, or if Mike's away, Mike hasn't taken a vacation in the 2 years he's been with us. But I don't know if he just waits till it cools down and he's done, and then, but if they need some help, I've always told them, if, hey, I need this done, if you can't do it, let me know. I was approved last year when Jack went away for his boot camp to take his spot for the fall, and it was approved at just, minimum wage. But now it's in there that if any of us work, we just have to be approved for it, and they wanted to make it official. So my suggestion, I don't think it's gonna happen often, but would be that we just make minimum wage if we're there. If you don't wanna put in your hours, that's up to you. But if you do work and you wanna put in the hours that you were there, it would just be minimum wage. So I'd make a motion for us board members to make minimum wage for any hours that we work at the park. So I just need a second.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we kind of did new business with old business as far as employees for 2019. So far, the only addition is Logan Soares will be added. So we'll add him in. He'll start at minimum wage like they all do, and work their way up. They've been upgraded a little bit because minimum wage went way up, so lucky for them. So basically, the next part is just plans for 2019. So I can tell you from what I've worked on, the T-ball field will be renamed C.J. Crooks Field. I've got approval from the school committee, so they're okay with it. They don't know where the sign is, but what I am going to bring to you guys tonight is approval. I don't have a price, but approval to look into with Village Signs getting a new sign made. I want to put one for his name, and then probably something like the field where Little League dreams begin, or something like that. Just come up with a slogan for it and put that up on that field. Opening day, we'll dedicate the field to rededicate that field to CJ. I will reach back out to you guys with a price for approval, but I just want to make a motion that I can look into the cost for a sign for the T-ball field.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we'll get approval for that once the price comes in. It shouldn't be too much. I'll talk to Lance. I was going to talk to him tonight, but he's not going to be at my game. So I work with Joel DeRoche. He had some idea. Joel DeRoche. Sorry, Seth DeRoche. He had some ideas around the concession stand.
Yeah.
Part of them I talked with the league, they didn't want to do, which I left it up to them because it's interior stuff, and I thought about making extra space for them while I was there, closing off a window. They preferred to leave it open, so I'm fine with that. It's less work that he has to do, and it's really the league that uses it. But as far as he had seen Mike scraping paint and repainting and all the stuff, and so he said, I can come in and put some new stuff up here that won't have to be painted, do underneath, and try to kind of fix some of the stuff that's either rotted or needs replacing. So he's going to come in and do that. And he agreed to do the dugouts on the T-ball field. He was supposed to do them this year, got a little busy, but he said they'll be done hopefully over the winter time. Basically just a regular roof and 4 poles, kind of like we have on Whitefield, just to keep the sun out of the kids, and if it drizzles and stuff when they're on the bench. He volunteered his time for that, so he might have to pay for materials, but he may donate that too. But that's the upgrades that I have planned. Really shouldn't be much of a cost involved in any of them, but once I get any figures, I'll let you guys know ahead of time, of course. Hopefully next year we can maybe schedule a couple more meetings, just quick ones and whatever.
Yeah.
But as far as going forward, what do you guys, I'm looking for thoughts as far as what do you guys want to do?
I did speak with the solar company. I just have not had a chance, a day off that I was available to meet with them over there. As you know, I work during the day quite a bit, so on my days off, I gotta try and get over there one day, meet up with them, and we're just gonna take a look at what possible options can be there as far as putting in solar to help out with our electric bill. So we're gonna do that, we'll figure out associated costs with it, and then I'll run down the numbers with savings and with what we've been using for electricity over the last few years, and kind of get an idea of if it's gonna be worth it for us or not.
Okay.
That should be within the next couple of weeks, I should have some days that I can get that done, so.
All right. Do you know if they look into, because I know obviously for the most part they put them on the roofs and stuff, would they look
Right.
into the roofs themselves? I haven't really looked at them to see if they need repairs.
Just from past experience when putting solar on my house and some businesses I know have done it, they'll actually take a look at the roof and let you know if it's even worth doing it, because if the roof needs to be replaced in the next couple of years, they're not gonna go throwing solar panels on them, if there's any issues with them, or if it just doesn't get enough sun. It's just not a good place to put them. But there's a ton of options now with solar roofs. We get dugouts, stuff like that, but then we also, and the buildings, then we also may possibly have some land that we can put them depending on the way they're facing and stuff like that. So we'll figure that out. Obviously, we don't want to put some gaudy field of solar panels just sitting in the middle of the park either. Right. So we're gonna try and take that. I'll get a few options hopefully from them, suggestions, and then bring it to you guys, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Is that something then that even if it came down to it, we could even tie neighbors into it, like they could feed off that solar for their savings? Or?
I don't believe so. I believe it's an account-based thing. I don't believe you can do that. And I know that because I actually have two services at my residence. We have the old business service that's no longer business, and I thought about doing that as well, but I can't even share within accounts. Okay. That's more, I believe, Eversource thing.
Okay. I was thinking when you said like a field, if we did put it in a space, if you could separate it and maybe use it for somebody else who can't put it on their house because they have trees or something in the way, but they want to. But all right, that's cool. I know you had, I mean, in general, I think part of the ideas we have talked about, you and I met with a group before. Yep. You have some ideas about the land beyond Whitefield, like what else we have. I mean, I think obviously the next step in that is maybe surveying it, yep. Figure out where we can actually build on if we want, find out what the town's willing to help, like as far as taking trees down, do that sort of thing, how much we need to involve the neighbors. I know that was an issue in the past when they wanted to build meeting hall, concession stand, whatever, bathroom, back when I was playing, I think, in between the fields, but it was going to be too close to the Park Ave, I think that is. So they brought it up to the neighbors and they weren't too interested, but if this is more behind Whitefield or something like that, and we do something, so I know you had mentioned, and we had talked about just like a football, what it was, a football field for flag football or whatever, basketball court, stuff like that. So I mean, if you want to just address that a little bit.
Yeah, I'd like to see how much land we actually have. Ideally, if we have enough land, it could all work out. I'd like to have somewhere where we could play like a flag football league, like where we're talking, like we run it through the park. And then also, I'd like to see if we could build some indoor basketball courts.
Okay.
Like nothing crazy, not a crazy building, but just one that's big enough to hold probably 2 or 3 courts.
Yeah.
And some bathrooms.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be good for the town. I think it'd be good for the kids. Yeah. It'd be great. So that's ideally what I'd like to see.
Right.
But like you said, we kind of have to.
I think we have to start off with an engineer, let them, because we got some land there, but we gotta see wetlands and stuff like that. We don't wanna encroach on, obviously we can't encroach on anything like that. So I think, once we get an engineer to come out, we just have to choose one that can come out, figure out a price, flag it off and go from there. Because it's excellent ideas, and it's a way to bring some income into our budget as well.
Yeah.
Especially if we want to expand like that and more property, which is something of.
And like some of the good things about it too is, with it being indoors, is that it would help the youth basketball program. And then also when that's not being used in that season, you have baseball when it's, instead of teams losing practice time,
yep.
They could be using that.
Or renting for Haven, which we can still do, but I mean.
And that if we're the ones that take care of it and run the rental part and all that stuff, same thing, like if we could rent it out and bring some income into the park and into the town.
Right.
For certain things, you know, you never know where it could go, but.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind looking into that for all the, like, I mean, anything that you could, heck, you could put up one batting cage with a machine that you put money in, like the old school, instead of, I mean, everybody goes for lessons, but something you put money in, you can hit in there or whatever, and like you said, rent it out, other teams can rent it. I know I talked to a friend of mine, and like they're talking about flag football leagues, and they, like, I think it's Somerset, the guy runs a league, and he says it's like packed. He makes a killing, and he runs it. It's his own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he probably has to pay for a rental of a field, but he's running the league himself. So I know it's a big undertaking for us if we ran a league, but we could put a commissioner in charge of it. And if we're taking the income from it and, you know, part of it, or the rentals for the league and stuff like that, I mean, I think it would be beneficial, because we don't have a lot of money coming in. I mean, it is just rentals, so.
Any way to bring it in is.
Yeah.
And it's going to add to the community too. I think it'll give communities, especially nowadays, my job, we see it more and more, it's less and less for the kids to be able to go and do. That's safe for them nowadays. It would be nice to have them go somewhere, you even have some old parents involved and stuff like that. That would be a great idea.
And even future when it comes to like summer rec, if it's days too hot or if it's a rainy day.
Right.
Well, it's even, but I mean, you have the schools now, like the you know, I know we have games at Hastings this week, because in Acushnet we have parent-teacher conference. Well, okay, you have parent-teacher conference, but you don't have that at a facility like that, because it's not a school. So as long as you have somebody in there, a janitor, something like that, so.
Great.
Yeah, I think it would work out. It's just, like you said, it's location and parking, and I mean, I think if we talked about too, even if you had whether it be the concession stand, I mean, this thing's small over here, if we had to move it and then make that bigger, or if a meeting hall, something we can have our meetings at and stuff, and the different leagues can use, just maybe a smaller facility for that, I think it'd be a good idea too. So.
Yeah, be great.
We're all over the place trying to use places, and I'm trying to find out if this room's available. We're gonna be upstairs, and you know, so yeah, definitely would be nice. I know the playground is a big thing that I'd really like to get something done. Well, I know we talked about that. I reached out today, but I'm waiting on a call back, because there is used to be a rope net thing that you're supposed to climb, but it was metal and it rusted, and part of some fell down and broke, so we took it down. We haven't replaced it, so now it's just a big opening. I've seen some online through the same company that built that are just like, and I've seen them at other parks too, but they're ropes, like actual ropes, and they're spider webs and things like that. If that's something we put in there and get that replaced, it may be under warranty. Some of their stuff is, and with that being that it rusted and stuff, I don't know if we still have it. I'll have to talk to Mike. But I'd like to get that replaced. Once I get a price, like I said, I'll reach out on that. But I do at least want to get that done. While I was on there, I saw some pretty cool, like, I mean, just besides the actual playgrounds themselves, you know, I mean, I'm talking $300,000, but like little things that if there's an open space, you can put a little net, rope climb, or a little tube, something that you can put. It's like, it's insane.
I don't know how we would go about doing it, but I mean, we could also, as far as like we were talking about the wood chip issue, things like that. I know on Pope's Island they have that amazing place. Okay, a lot of that was donated volunteer. I don't know if that's something we could even look into. Maybe do fundraisers, have some input from some of the larger companies in the area that do help out with a lot of stuff in the town. Maybe we can do something along those lines. We gotta see something. If we fix that ground there and did something smooth like that, so handicap accessible and everyone can get in there easier, I think the toys we have there, for one, get used more, and two, becomes a much more interest and generate a little more publicity for us and get us in there, and we can build on that as well and put new toys in that sort of thing.
And that kind of goes unused other than picnic tables, but with the building, the pavilion being redone and picnic tables put under there, we can maybe utilize even something small in that corner, put the benches, the benches over there, and that people sit on, and maybe swing set somewhere else, gives us some more open space and use something else.
And now we have the Veterans Memorial, which is just very well kept and amazing looking, and it would be nice to. The wood chips, I mean, they serve their purpose, but aesthetically they're not as appealing as the memorial.
Yeah.
Kind of, you put that up there, and we kind of forced our hand now. We could have looked at something.
The other thing too, I mean, looking at Wood School, I don't know if I mentioned this at a meeting or not, but they have the big wooden sign with all the sponsors and
Right,
everything else,
right.
and like if that would be something I think
Yep.
we would be willing to do.
Of
You know,
course.
the one side, if you get people that donate a lot, here's your your bigger sign. On the other side, you can put the people who donate $100. Kids, you get whatever it is, it's going to help. Do something like that. I know I still got to reach out about the grant for the rubber mat. If that's not something that we can get as a town, again, that's something that we can still look into. That's the biggest expense. I really would like to
Yeah.
expand the playground itself and do what we can, but I'm like, at the same time, I'd rather almost wait till that gets done and then put that stuff
Yeah,
in.
if we can get the
But-
ground done, then we can add the other stuff after as we go. It doesn't have to be all this year.
Right.
What we'll do is, I'll look into some companies and try to figure out what it costs for something like that. And then we'll, from there, maybe we can formulate a plan of how to raise some funds for it, that sort of thing.
All right. And I'll reach back out. I got the email and about the grant, and just try to reach back out and
Yeah.
see if they've made a decision, if this year is up again,
Yep.
to see if we're even on the docket for that. And I mean, as far as once we start moving, I mean, I don't see a problem. We should agree on a letter
Yep.
that we can send to the town businesses and
Yep.
say, this is what we're looking for, we're trying to build on it, this is what you're gonna get for your
Yep.
donation, and that sort of thing,
Yeah,
you
we
know.
do a fundraiser type thing.
Yeah.
Even on that idea too, that we were talking before, the building in the like a flag football field and stuff like that. That's also something we could do too.
Yeah.
Same thing, like there could be some companies that may want to be involved with that, and they can really help the town. It'd
Yeah.
Yeah,
be great.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I definitely think we need to do some fundraising, it would help, but I mean, we're gonna figure out what that actually would be, you know what I mean? It's not like we can go around selling candy, there's only three of us,
Right.
but to get,
We've talked about it before, you and I. I think maybe last year. I'd like to do a 3-on-3 tournament this year,
yeah,
right at the park, and we can, 3rd through 8th grade, boys and girls, we can figure out how many teams we could do. It'd be like a whole, just a weekend,
yeah,
yeah.
Double elimination,
Yeah.
Don't be long games, so you can run it all day,
Right, right.
2 days, and, half the money goes to the park, half the money goes to the league or somewhere else.
yeah.
Right, right.
And that way, it's kind of like a,
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
both parties make out and go from there.
Yeah, I mean,
Concession stand and stuff.
Yeah.
I would probably, I mean, as far as even doing some of the work that we're talking about, fundraising, I know that we're talking baseball teams, but like we have Fairhaven High School that uses the field in Old Colony, which I know they're busy, but at the same time, they may have some sort of, it may not have to be carpentry, but some other shop that could help us in a way, whether it's to try to help us raise money, do something for the playground, something like that, that we can try to leverage what we're providing to them, would be, a different way to go. So yeah, we'll look into those. I think the other thing too, and I know this is 2 years in a row, like the fire department came to me 2 years ago about using the field for a softball game, a charity game with them and somebody else, and that fell through. Then last year it was the Boy Scouts, and that rained out once, and then got postponed, then rained out, and then they just didn't do it. They said maybe next year. I'm like, okay, it's being used. I'm thinking, all right, they're gonna use it. I'm like, maybe that's something we do. I don't know. I know it's tough as far as a fundraiser, because you can't really, the Bay Sox, I talked to them at one time about using the field. The problem is there's too many entranceways, and they make their money off of the admissions and selling different things, and so where would they do that? On a smaller scale, if we did something where, like, I know the Patriots do alumni football games, and they did one with Rochester Police and Fire one year I went to, and I think the Red Sox have alumni softball games and stuff. If it's something like that where we can block off maybe the front entrance somewhere along the way, and then a couple of other spots, just have people there, so you can't get too close to the field, and unless you do, you have a ticket and you get in, and then we make some money off of that. Something to utilize what we have, but bring in people and have a good time. We can use the concession stand, it's ours. I know the league uses it, but if we wanted to set up food there or get a couple, grills and sell burgers or whatever. So I know, like I said, it takes work. I mean, something like that would just be fun to just kind of set up and then just have a few people work, and it's only a few hours. You know what I mean? I mean, the basketball ones I want to do. We have people, I think, in the basketball league that'll help run that. Softball, I don't know who we have, but that, like I said, that's only a few hours of a game and then you're done, so it's not too bad, so. Do we have anything else? Oh, we talked about the solar. I gotta reach back out to Tom DaCosta. I know he's supposed to be reconfiguring the cameras for the veterans, and he's gonna add some there. And I talked to Chris Oliver, I met him at the park, about possibly tying it. I mean, they have the system, I guess, that they're supposed to use, and with the ladder truck for the police, with the fire department, to get something that they would put up that would signal it to send a signal to the police station, but also just like he can work in the system itself better to the garage. And so it would record even our own stuff a lot longer. I mean, obviously it's hard to send it to the police station and expect them to all be sitting there watching the park, but if it's a feed that happens to be there that they can see and they see something going on, especially if we add solar, like I'm thinking they have the pavilion that they built a few years ago that it's big enough for some solar and it's a newer roof,
Right.
but kids love to climb on it and sit up there. And so they can still climb up there. If there's solar panels, it's not safe, and then who knows what they'll do to the solar, so
Right.
that you need a camera to make sure if you see these kids.
Right,
And I know they just sit up there and don't really do a whole lot, but
Yeah.
it's the point of, they climb in the fence and sitting on the roof.
Yep.
The cameras, I definitely think we need to upgrade, add a few more. I'm working with Tom on that. He's supposed to get back to me. I'm just holding off to hear from him. Beyond that, besides what we talked about, and this may go into the building we're discussing down beyond Whitefield, but is to upgrade the bathrooms. I know we've had them cleaned a lot better. We have the porta-john next to it. That's helped. I've had a lot less complaints with that. We did spend some money on hand sanitizer, different soap dispensers, just different things to make it smell better, number one, be a little cleaner, let people we don't really have hot water in there, which kind of stinks, so have, hand sanitizer and some of that stuff, but I would like to look into long-term doing something with the bathrooms. So if that's
Yep.
tied into the building down there and we can, I don't even know, clean that out, make that a garage, what we could do with that if we
Right.
move the bathrooms, but I don't know if we need functioning bathrooms in multiple places, but I definitely think that's something we need to look into.
With the size property we have, the way it's set now, I wouldn't believe so. If we ever did a building, you'd probably want bathrooms in the building.
Yeah, you could kind of.
But you also, when the building's closed, you wouldn't want people having access to that
Right.
just for the bathroom. So I think then you would need two. But the way it is now, I don't think you need multiple. I've
No.
never seen a giant line outside the bathroom. So
And during certain times there is, I know the thing that it's tricky, and that's why I like having the porta-john, but then again, having it there, it's not ideal, but I don't want it up near the memorial either, that's where it was, and then we moved it,
Right.
is the rest of the time during the summer, there's nothing for people to use.
right.
So people play in the playground and have no place to go. I have that one there, and it got moved, but I keep it there. Maybe a sign to say that there's a porta-john there or something, but it's like,
Yeah.
if we had I know it's a little different environment here, but if you look at something like Ned's Point, they have a public bathroom that's just unlocked and open. I don't know if you can do that at a park, you know what I mean? It's tough, but at the same time, it's something that people can come and go in there, and I don't know, maybe somebody goes and locks it later at night, I don't know. I've been there kind of late and been able to, my kids have to go, it's
It
open.
could even be a time release lock in the morning. I'm sure they have technology.
Yeah.
So it comes with a cost, but
Right.
maybe they have something like that.
But just something that people can
Right.
use, and we don't have to have the porta-john. If we did have the other bathroom, I don't think it's gonna be able to be open if that's the bathroom that is specifically used all the time, but something like that, I think it would give more access to people to use it, and Summer Rec uses it. If Mike's not here, he has to make sure the bathroom's left open and then come back and lock it, which is just like, a little burden's on him to going back and doing it. But that's an upgrade that I think we need to look into longer term, because it's a brick building, it's gonna take a lot of work. I don't think we can even redo it there, because then we have to, I'm sure if we upgrade it, it's gonna have to be certain handicapped accessibilities and stuff, which I know it's gonna ramp, but it is kind of small, the whole bathroom area,
Right, yeah,
so,
yeah.
but it's an old building, so like I said, once we move forward with it, it's gonna be redone to be a lot better, so. So that's the only other, besides the field and that other open area, that's the other thing that I was looking at. The only other thing would be if we want to do stuff on other land. I heard with other small pockets of land that we have, what we want to do with that. I know we've talked about a lot of different things. We've had people come up to us about dog parks and you know, the liability on that, and so.
I have looked a lot into the dog park. That's going to be a very difficult undertaking with the properties that we do have. And even if we got land, everywhere they are, they get shut down pretty quick.
Yeah.
Have issues. I was told about one dog park, I won't mention it to me, I went over there. It was nothing that looked like it would be fun to be in control of. Wasn't
maintained,
organized well. It's not so much the maintenance, it's a little bit of maintenance there, you know, you gotta have the people who don't clean up after their animals and stuff, but there's nothing but arguments between dog owners, which is sad, because I'd like to see something like that, you know, provide a little more for the residents of the town. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be difficult. It's not something I wanna take off the table. I'd like to kind of keep that in mind if we get the right piece of property and see if there's who's successful at having those managed properly and what their secret is. They do seem to be difficult though. And then, as we've mentioned, other properties that like to acquire some property. The Lake Street thing, I don't know how far off the table that is with the town and stuff like that, but that would be a great thing to have maintained. Just the way it is now, it's not. DPW years back, a couple years ago, did a great job over there. They don't have the ability to maintain it with their busy schedule.
Yeah.
That's something the park department could do. So I'd like to look into that, definitely. And that won't be a 2019 thing that we acquire, I'm sure, but you know, if we can move forward on that, I'd like to start asking questions on that.
What would your first step be on that?
First step is come to the town, find out what the history is there as far as New Bedford owning it and the town taking it over or anything like that, and find out if there's any roadblocks, how we get clear those up properly. And my goal there would be, I know there's another nonprofit entity that was looking to put a playground there. Same problem you're gonna have though if they put a playground there, is maintenance of it. And park department gets a hold of something like that, would be nice. Clean up the beach area, not that it can be used to be swimming in or anything like that, but it's a nice little picnic area. You put a playground off of that, put some limited access there so the town has the ability to come and go. Town residents with their town sticker, use it all they want. You know, that's a great place. They have Boy Scouts and another organization do fishing derbies there for the kids. That's great. I'm familiar with some organizations that get kids really involved in the outdoors. Over there would be a perfect spot. You got some trails and stuff. There's a mobile archery company that comes around and teaches a kid archery. You get kids teaching fishing to other children and stuff like that. You know, you got some pretty good organizations out there that can do stuff like that. I think that would be great. And we'd have a playground in the north end. So, you know, you have a little more.
It's smaller, right?
Right. It doesn't have to be this full thing over there, right? But during the day at school, you know, parents who are waiting for the kids to have the younger ones that can go over there and do that. Yeah. Or during the summer, if they, you know, want to go fishing, get kids fishing, the other kids playing in the playground, something nice to have. Yeah. I think the docks over there are a great asset. There'd probably be a little way, you know, to get some lighting over there on the dock and things like that, and just make it more appealing to the public and more useful, and give them somewhere else to go.
I'd give somebody else a job too. We get a budget for something like that. I mean, we have a budget for payroll and stuff, but I mean, obviously if we can add a little bit to it and have somebody working, you know, more full-time, going, you know, like year-round, so they go in the winter, clean up some over there, get a couple people that can do that, and the park. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that would be...
That's something along the lines of, you get the other organizations in town, Boy Scouts and stuff like that, to go over there and have somewhere else to use, you know, when they want to, you know, because right now, not a whole lot we have for them over there, but if they want to go over there and use it, that'd be great.
Now, what's the, I'm not familiar with, there's a house in the back there,
yes.
Right? So
City of New Bedford owns from the street back, I forgot the exact acreage. I don't even want to say because I don't want to misquote it, but there's a decent amount of acreage that the City of New Bedford owns. And then the driveway has the easement that goes to the two houses in the back.
There's two houses?
There's two houses, same owner, owns both of them. And but that's, you know,
so it would be
quite
still
a ways
separate.
back.
Okay.
Still separate and stuff like that. In a lot of the woods, I wouldn't want to really see the park department touch the woods necessarily. Maybe clear up there are some natural trails in there that a lot of people walk now. Maybe clear those up and just give them a little area. We have a great picnic area that would be right by the little beach area. It wouldn't take much to clean that up right now. And you could do some picnic tables and stuff. Even if you wanted to have little barbecue pits over there that they have in a lot of places, it'd be great.
Yeah.
You get the boat ramp there. That's another thing that needs minimum maintenance, but some maintenance and stuff. And I can tell you from patrol work, we see a lot of the town residents over there using that. And it'd just be nice to keep it nice and clear for them and organized.
You probably get a landscaper over there to clean some of that out, even though the right side of that driveway is kind of overgrown and stuff, but maybe clean some of that out for parking.
And I'd be very interested in working with conservation and Mass Wildlife and stuff. See what I know some friends in Mass Wildlife. They do things at different locations. That'd be a great location to have some of their little educational stuff. And things like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right, so yeah, we can start. I can put some emails together, send that out, start working on looking into that. I know it was something that was brought up a couple of years ago at town meeting about getting ownership of the lake, the Lake Street itself and the water and water rights, and so see where that takes us, and we can go from there. Any ideas as far as other land that is not developed, like what we would do with it? I mean, I had thought of one idea as far as maybe another baseball field, only because there's a lot of leagues that are looking to rent, but the problem is, like, our fields have always been Acushnet Little League, and now it's Faven Acushnet, and we've had, with basketball and baseball and just in general, a great partnership with Faven, and I've had nothing but good things to say as far as that relationship, so I wouldn't want to mess with that. But that being said, you get people coming in looking to rent fields. The big field's one thing, as long as they have availability, I'm good. The little fields, like, you're taking away from the town kids and stuff like that for either out-of-town kids or even smaller groups of kids in town that play in different leagues. So, I mean, again, it's I'd rather see stuff like the Lake Street thing, and if we did that, then we have to put employees towards that, so I don't know if maintaining another baseball field in another part of town would work, but at the same time, it may fund itself. I just don't know what land we have or what we could acquire to do that, and whether it's something we want to undertake, and then we can put it out there that there's an open field that you can pay for, and you can come out and use this field in this town. There's a lot of towns that just don't have fields, or their fields are not good enough, people don't want to use them, so they're looking for places to pay money, good money, to use. So I don't know. I mean, I think that for me, that's kind of more on the back burner, but mostly somebody came to me this year asking to rent, and I know I sent it to you guys, I think, an email, and then I reached out to the league to see what their thoughts, and he said most of those kids weren't even going to be in from the town, so it was like, yeah, I don't know if I really want to do that anyway. And then I don't think the guy ended up even getting enough kids to get a team together, so it didn't end up becoming anything, but it just put a thought in my head, like, what could we possibly do to accommodate?
I think along those lines, probably want the boat a little closer to the dock before we step on it. Like, if we can rent out our league now, our field now a little bit, which obviously we're doing, see how that goes, but in the meantime, we gotta find property that's big enough. I mean, how much land do you need for something like that? I'm not a baseball guy, so I'm not sure how big that field actually is. I know it looks enormous, but
well, you get that one, the real big one. These are more Little League kids, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is Little League fields.
Yeah, well,
and we have a lot, but we have a lot of with the merge. I mean, honestly, I was involved when it was just Acushnet and watching Acushnet, shrink, and then we added Faven. Now, both putting them together, we became a big league. But now, even that is starting to grow, which is great, because, like I said, these are all kids from Acushnet and Faven. I mean, a couple kids maybe out of just New Bedford or something because they've lived here and moved, or you get a couple exemptions here and there. But it's nice to have a growing league in town. Like I said, for me, it was kind of just like a thought, just mainly because of that, and like, okay, what else can we use other land that we might have around town? I'd really like to see, if we don't have enough land behind Whitefield, if we acquire land to put the facility,
right.
I'd rather see that than another baseball field, because we have it, and let them find. I mean, these teams that pay kids that pay thousands of dollars, no offense, but they're gonna pay that on top of what they play, like, then have that league build you a field, then find a land and build their own field, using area leagues and taking kids from the area leagues. It's not my cup of tea. I never did that when I played. It wasn't a desire of mine. I'd rather see a basketball facility and something along that line that we could, utilize in town, a flag football field, something that we can help raise money, but get something in town locally that I don't know the closest one. I think it's Tabor. They say they have one like flag football for kids and stuff. But that would be my priority, the Lake Street, I think, and seeing what we have for land and stuff.
Yeah.
But I just like trying to figure out what else we might want to do. But that's a lot of stuff.
Right, no, we got big dreams here, both we'll work them through.
Yeah.
Some are gonna fall apart, some will stick, we'll see how it goes.
I mean, we got to definitely get working on the playground for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done upgrades to the baseball fields, and we'll continue to do that. But I think the playground is number one, and work on Lake Street and behind the park number two, because it adds different sports and different elements to the park. So. Cool. All right. Well, that's all I had. You guys have anything else brewing? No. All right. Well, Mike's done for the season. We closed up early November as far as we pulled the water meters and we had all the air blown out of the lines and stuff like that. I think the last project he did was he raked some leaves because of Veterans Day, and he wanted to clean that up. Although when I got there, he was there, my father said, at like 6 a.m. cleaning leaves, and the Veterans thing happened and it was so windy those leaves all up. Like, I felt bad, but he did. He cleaned up quite a bit. So I think that was pretty much his last day. He'll drop by every so often. He's met with Chris to give him the lawnmower and pick up the other one, put it in the garage and stuff like that. But other than that, everybody else is off. Just have to keep an eye on the fields every so often if we're in the area. But so we're closed pretty much for the season until I guess March. So all right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Meeting over.
Thank you.